Oh snap! Food benefits turn back on today, but the need does not disappear overnight.
Even though SNAP benefits are issued, their wells are dry right now.
Families caring for kids with disabilities brace for budget cuts from the state.
This just feels like a huge setback for a lot of us.
From Colorado to the center of the president's personal prosecutions. One problem for Lindsay Halligan, though, she might be in that big gig illegally. And you will never look at this insect the same way again. A look tonight at a symbol beloved in the immigrant community.
It really unifies us all. It's not just here or just there, it's everywhere.
And tonight on Next.
Coloradans worked like mad to stitch together a new safety net when the federal government cut the usual food benefits out from under low-income families. Now that SNAP food benefits are back today, government shutdown's over, it's time to unwind that makeshift safety net without anyone falling through the gaps. Our Spencer Soysher has that.
People will see their SNAP benefits today.
The state of Colorado is finishing up loading SNAP money onto the cards of 600,000 Coloradans.
The last 3 weeks have been really hard.
Michelle Barnes, the head of the state's Department of Human Services, believes even though the shutdown is over, the effects from it are not.
So we know families are in a worse situation now than they were November 1 because they've had to get by.
The state decided 2 weeks ago it would send 2 installments of $5 million to food banks.
The second installment is going out this week.
That second installment, though, will now be $2 million instead of $5 million.
Colorado's in a really tough budget situation right now.
We have 38,000 recipients who receive SNAP benefits. 13,000 of them are children.
Jeffco Commissioner Leslie Dahlkemper signed an emergency declaration for the county last week.
I think for us, it was a matter of coordination and collaboration, first and foremost.
That declaration didn't come with any new money. It's now over, but it brought key stakeholders together quicker.
How do we move through this work in a way that's efficient?
So the pantries have been in response to the SNAP benefits being withheld.
Tara Pena with Jeffco Schools says 9 schools in the district have set up pantries to help.
Thank you for coming and making the time.
And this weekend, they held a food drive too.
The need in our community does not change because SNAP benefits will now be released to our families.
And even if the state and the county are pulling back a bit, the end of the shutdown does not mean the end of the need or the temporary help at Jeffco Schools.
So our plan right now is to keep our temporary pantries open until winter break.
That Jeffco Pantry program is volunteer run and the food comes from donations, so that doesn't cost the district like the state's program cost the state. And in Denver, $1 million was distributed through an emergency fund from the Healthy Food for Denver's Kids program. That money will still be distributed in full, though, Kyle.
I feel like something we're going to talk about a lot in the coming weeks and months is that hunger in Colorado goes well beyond people who receive SNAP benefits, right? 600,000 people. And that Colorado isn't just like fully fed and cool now that SNAP's turned back on.
Right. A lot of federal workers who haven't been working for the last couple of months. One of the really interesting things that they told me here today at Jeffco Schools is there are a lot of federal workers' kids that go to Jeffco Schools because of the federal center in Lakewood.
Sure.
And they're able to actually help those people out as well as some SNAP people who would have needed help.
Yeah.
Too.
The need continues. Yep, but we'll also stay after it through word of thanks. Spencer, thank you. Tough choice time at the state capitol. There's an $800 million budget deficit, and the governor goes first on proposing cuts before the legislature. The governor is taking aim at Medicaid spending, saying that it is growing too fast at a time when state revenues are not keeping up. The governor met with legislative budget leaders this week. He is proposing caps on dental coverage and cuts to reimbursement rates for some healthcare and therapy providers. Some of Polis's fellow Dems at the Capitol are skeptical. They're worried about vulnerable communities losing critical health care. The governor says his goal is to essentially spread the pain around so that nobody loses their coverage altogether.
I just wonder what the long-term consequences are of the decisions that we're making today that will restrict the kind of care that our most vulnerable populations are getting. I just am not sure that we've landed on exactly the right thing.
We want to look at that to really, with a magnifying glass, make sure every dollar is directed to the best possible patient outcomes for our fellow Coloradans and that we don't lose coverage for anybody.
The governor is also proposing cuts outside of Medicaid, like to education spending, and he wants to sell off the state employee compensation insurer, Pinnacle. That could be quite the fight. That's a different story for a different day. Back to these proposed Medicaid cuts. The Polis administration says at least 15 programs that help children with disabilities and their caregivers will see changes in order to keep them from disappearing altogether. Our Jaleesa Irizarry explains the impact on more than 40,000 Coloradans.
In an East Aurora dining room,
Let's see.
there are signs that point to parenthood
He's on it.
and the pride that comes with it for Sierra Stewart.
It reminds me of how far we've come. It warms my heart to see this child doing so well.
Sierra knows life for her son Jackson hasn't been the easiest, and what's expected to happen in a matter of months may make things worse.
I'm at a loss for words whenever it comes to the amount of cuts that Colorado is trying to make.
Democratic Governor Jared Polis has introduced a budget proposal with major cuts to Medicaid services. At least 15 programs that help people with disabilities and their caregivers will see reductions. That includes raising the age for children to access Community Connector, which helps them build skills through everyday activities.
This just feels like a huge setback for a lot of us.
The Community Connector is not the only service, but as I highlighted, we have a 620% increase in utilization after allowing parents to be paid providers.
Bonnie Silva is with the Department of Healthcare Policy and Financing, the office that proposed these reductions. They say this is what needs to happen in order to help keep all programs going.
But I don't want to be dismissive. These changes will certainly have an impact for some members and for some families, and I certainly recognize how difficult that is.
Let's see.
For Brittany Tarango, the cuts for her and her son Jackson will be felt financially, as the amount of time a caregiver can get paid is capped to 56 hours.
Sadly, it is our income. I know a lot of families are essentially going to suffer from these cuts.
This is Jackson's therapy room.
Sierra fears with these cuts, this is where her son will spend most of his time, a place that doesn't have as much room for growth.
He doesn't get to experience the world from this living room. It's important for us to have resources like that to support my son's ever-growing needs as well as other families.
Silva says when these changes will take effect is still a work in progress, but she says there are things that will happen as early as spring and as late as 2027. Kyle?
Jaleesa, you get a sense of why they're not just saying each program is going to take the exact same haircut, why they're going into some deeper than others?
Yeah, that would be like the simple solution, right? But they say they need to address the growing trends, because if they don't, they're going to be back at the drawing board in just a few years, because those will continue to cost more and more money.
Jaleesa Irizarry, thank you so much. Lindsay Halligan's held a bunch of titles. Attorney for President Trump, student at Holy Family in Broomfield and Regis University, finalist for Miss Colorado USA. But it is only her latest title, interim U.S. attorney, that could be illegal and was argued in court today. Halligan was brought in by President Trump in the Eastern District of Virginia to prosecute his political enemies, and she did it within days. First, former FBI Director James Comey, and then New York Attorney General Letitia James. Attorneys for those two told a federal judge today that Halligan's hasty installation was purely political, and more than that, it was illegal, that she was brought in against the rules to push forward prosecutions that career prosecutors had said were too weak. Halligan was the sole prosecutor in the grand jury room presenting these cases. So if her appointment is ruled to be illegal, uh-oh. There is a holdup in the plan for a new reservoir to bring water to hundreds of thousands of Coloradans. The holdup is uranium, which feels like a good reason for a delay.
It's a symbol of migration, and it's how strong migration is here in the States.
A beautiful symbol of the immigrant journey unites a community, and we're all going to learn about it next. Colorado just won its court battle to keep people from getting soaked by high interest rates on low-dollar loans, even if they come from banks in other states. Colorado law caps interest rates for payday loans and other consumer debt loans at 36%, which is still pretty juicy, right? Some national bank chains got around that because of a federal rule that allows banks to just follow the interest laws of their home state. Colorado opted out of that law in 2023. They were concerned that payday lenders were working with out-of-state banks so that they could keep charging those high interest rates. Trade groups sued over Colorado's restrictions, and a federal court blocked that law. This week, an appeals court reversed the ruling, sent the case back to Colorado's courts for more arguments. A reservoir near Berthoud will not be filled this month because Northern Water says it needs more time to test for uranium. Take all the time you need, right? In June, Northern Water found uranium in the rocks used to create the dam for the Chimney Hollow Reservoir. Northern Water said that they do not expect contamination of drinking water beyond safe levels. So, just a little touch of uranium. They plan to start filling the reservoir this month. They're going to push that to early 2026 so they can do more tests. The reservoir is expected to be one of the largest in the state when finished, could eventually supply water for up to 1 million Coloradans. Northern Water doesn't plan on using that reservoir for drinking water until at least 2027. All right, meteorologist Chris Bianchi, it was downright San Diego-esque out there.
You know what they say, right?
I don't actually know what they say. No, that's why you're going to tell me.
Cherry Creek Reservoir in the middle of November, beautiful.
Beautiful. I think that your microphone might have dropped down into your drawers there. Can you reach in and grab it? Sounds a little hollow. No, take all the time you need. If you need privacy too, we can give you that. Just go fishing for it, please.
Should I step off the split screen here?
Yeah. Just grab that microphone. I can hear you a bit. It's probably dangling near your nether regions. Just grab it and clip it back up top again, sir. We'll hang out while you do it. Don't worry about it.
We did it. We got it. We got it. You want to see the wires, though? The wires still kind of... Sorry about that. Oh, boy. And I just lost like 15 seconds on my weather hit. So, 209 days since we last had snow, April the 18th. We are now in our 11th longest snowless streak on record for us here in Denver. But if you want some of that warmer weather or some of that winter weather, it's about to change here next little while. 70s for us Eastern Plains today, 50s and 60s for us in the high country. Very warm day, 20 degrees above average, San Diego stuff, right? But tonight we drop back only into the 40s for us Eastern Plains, 20s and 30s for us in the high country. Tomorrow, low to mid 70s for us across the Eastern Plains. But, here you go. We start to see that big change for us next week with those temperatures dropping back into the 50s and a potential weather impact alert for next Wednesday. I'll just be honest about it. The computer models all over the place are kind of doing a bit of this right now, but our lean is a colder and perhaps snowier lean for the middle to end part of next week. So that may be some good news if you're hoping for some of that wintry weather. And now that you can hear me with my microphone, this may be good news for those of you winter weather lovers, an optimistic look to the most of next week and the following week after that.
Yeah, the trick is to put it near your mouth. Good save, Bianchi. Hey, we know it as a beautiful little creature with a long migration route. Tonight, we learn its significance to immigrants. Hey, a reminder, you can catch Next streaming each night, 6 p.m. on 9 News Plus, and this show is a podcast. It's like the show, but with your eyes closed. Tonight, a story about a tiny symbol of hope for migrants on their journey and for those who have already made it to their destination. A small creature known for its beauty and its resilience. Our Angela McCall has that.
Okay. When he puts his brush to canvas, every stroke has meaning.
It's something that I paint what I feel like it's right for me.
In Jules Mendoza's artwork, there's one thing he returns to. Just like the insect he paints.
There's a big purpose behind the life of a butterfly, the monarch butterfly.
Jules knows how difficult the journey can be. 3,000 miles for monarch butterflies, less for him.
My parents decided to come here just for a better life. I lived in Juarez. I think it was a lot of the cultural shock. There's those symbols that you connect with that make you feel more resilient about things that are hard, like hard things that you have to do.
That was when he was 11 years old. Today, it's part of his inspiration.
Even though the butterfly people see as a fragile insect, it endures like the journey of going through traveling all those miles is a big symbol of migration.
Inspiration, not only for Jules, but for anyone who's found a home in a place they didn't know before.
And as a child of immigrants that are the children of immigrants, then the story really resonates with me too.
Shidan Herskovich studies butterflies at the Butterfly Pavilion.
It's a pretty cool gig.
After growing up surrounded by them in Panama.
One of the most iconic butterflies of all times.
Instinct will carry monarchs to forests they've never been to before, the same ones from their past generations, stretching from Mexico all the way to Canada.
It's a really unique migration, so beautiful that it's almost like magic.
The same monarch connecting strangers thousands of miles away.
Definitely, I hope that whenever somebody sees a monarch butterfly, they see it as a connecting force. It really ties us all together.
Off the bat, I think it's just such a beautiful piece, and again, using that image to represent, you know, our people.
Jules' butterfly creation found a home at the Denver Botanic Gardens.
He kind of, you know, tells his own story.
Karen Rojas Mesa curated the exhibit.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful metaphor, right? I think that just perfectly mirrors a lot of the obstacles, a lot of the hopes and dreams that exist in human migration stories. Crossing a border, going to a new place, going to a new country, it's learning a new language. It's an incredible journey in its own, just like monarch butterflies.
Jules hopes people learn something beyond just the monarch's beauty.
Paint something that represents the people and creates questions for those that don't know.
And then there are the people who already know the meaning, who might find comfort in the journey of a butterfly that came before them.
I hope they see a symbol of hope, resilience, and they see represented themselves there.
There's been a big effort from the Butterfly Pavilion in conjunction with the Mexican government to help monarchs on their routes. Monarch butterflies have declined by 80% in population, in part because things like bridges and roads have interfered with their migration routes. So there's a large conservation effort as well to help them find their way again back to where they're supposed to be. Kyle.
Angela, it's such a beautiful parallel. I know so many of the migration stories that you have told involve families, right, that come together. And we know that obviously, like in the animal kingdom, like a lot of animals migrate in family units, but not monarch butterflies.
Not monarch butterflies. You know, think of the whale, right? A baby whale will learn its migration pattern from its parents. That's not the case with butterflies. They travel entirely by instinct. They do a once-in-a-lifetime migration, and they do it without ever having done it before or without ever being told by their, generations before them. And so it's pretty amazing when you really think about totally on instinct and by habit as well, and just by their biology. So it's pretty amazing.
Really interesting story. Angela McCall, thank you. As always, you get the final word with your feedback. Sabrine and Suher are bringing it in. They're here from Overland High School today. Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it very much. We've had fun hanging out talking about journalism today. We'll talk about your feedback next. Emily writes, Chris Bianchi lost his microphone down near his nether regions. You mean his, no, I'm not going to say that on TV. I actually don't know that I can say nether regions on TV, but I did. A text, your uh-oh gave me an out loud belly laugh. But Steve goes, what is the uh-oh part of the story? You are usually so thorough. I thought it was self-explanatory, Steve. So President Trump handpicks Lindsay Halligan from Colorado, his old personal attorney, to be his personal prosecutor going after his political enemies. And she took the cases into a grand jury alone because the career prosecutors in the office didn't want to do it. And now her appointment is being investigated as to whether or not it's illegal. So if she gets disqualified, uh-oh. See you next time.